Hey there, YouTube. It's me, Hens, and I'm back here with Beck. It's a new day in Goral World, and Beck is about to give us a breakdown of all of the lies from Amberlynn's live stream. All of the taking accountability that she was trying to force upon somebody else, and literally by misconveying situations or trying to lead her audience down a path of logic that was actually divorced from reality. So let's get into this. And just for clarity, I'm going to skip over the beginning of the video where Beck is going over the signs of different types of Ashmoose and skip right to where they're dissecting Amberlynn's lies. Bum 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 bum.
Hey everyone.
Hey
If you
Beck.
felt crazy after watching everything unfold last week, you're not alone. Trust me, I'm feeling it
Insane.
myself. There's been so much coming out, it's been really hard to keep up. Between reactions and live streams and the podcast with Casey and now Amber's last live stream on Thursday, it has just all been overwhelming. Amber's live was hard for me to watch. It brought up a lot of emotions I've had to confront. Her language, outlook, and how she twists everything was very triggering, and some of it was clearly an attempt to attack my character and discredit me and what I've said about her. Because of
I think that was like 80% of it.
that, I had to comb through everything she said, take notes, and try my best to wrap my head around what was going on. Reaction channels have really helped so much with that, and it's difficult seeing so many people watch her lie about me and others while trying to manipulate the narrative. But they remember things even I don't remember sometimes, and getting the outside perspective has been incredibly important and enlightening. I've been trying to keep myself from having to address her directly most of the time. I did consider making this video at her specifically, but when I was writing this, I found out that she wasn't who I wanted to talk to. I wanted to tell you what I thought and what I'm feeling. This
And
is
that's
all really new
exactly
to me.
right.
Yes, I've talked about our past relationship before, but not to the extent I have the last month or so. And I've been on YouTube in the past, but I've never had this amount of support behind me until recently. Now, with more public support comes more attention and more expectations. I knew talking about her again would bring a lot of eyes my way, and I don't want to let anyone down, but I can't stand by and let fear stop me from talking about what I went through and bringing awareness to covert narcissism and mental, emotional, and financial abuse. All abuse survivors deserve to be advocated for, whether it is physical or psychological.
Oh,
Amber,
yep. So we're going to skip this part.
what she lied about in this live stream. Number one, Amber claimed she never talked about me after the proposal story on her channel. Except she did. She made another video with my name in the title a couple weeks later. She talked
Right.
about me on her Instagram stories and in her
Right. I think Zachary Michael pointed that out.
Q&As and in the comments of other people's live streams and videos. She even talked about me to people in her private life, according to Alexis, but I care less about that. The online stuff she knew
Lol. I love the subtle Alexis disregard. Because, I mean, Alexis is nobody to Beck.
people would see. And how many times now has she said she is done talking about me or the situation and then talks about it again? I've lost count. Number two, she says she couldn't access the joint bank account that she had a card to with her name on it. I will continue to get into this more when I cover financial abuse later in this video. Same with buying me a car. Number three, Amber said that I claim to never have met Jade or Libby. That just isn't true. There is evidence of me saying I met Jade before, as well as videos of me.
Yeah, I mean, those were the first videos I saw, was Beck being so uncomfortable on stream, being forced to be there so Amber could be showing off her ex and then also the new girl that she's so confident about moving in early.
Being in the same room as Jade. Libby, I did say that I never met, but that's because I'm pretty sure we never did meet in person. There's a video of me sitting with Amber and talking while she was on You Now with Libby. I did not meet Libby. I knew of Libby as a friend of Amber's she knew while with Destiny.
Yeah, and when Beck would have met Libby on You Now, she would have been an adult. Libby would have been like 19 or so,
Number 4. She says that
or
Eric and
like
Ricky told her
18, 18, 19.
that I admitted to using her for money and called her a fat fucking bitch. And I know some of you really wanted that last part to be true.
Yeah. The thing about it is that it is true on a fact of matter basis. It's not a, oh, you called her that out of spite and anger. No, you could have stated that and it would have been a flat out fact. But, but I know that you probably didn't say it out of anger, out of nowhere. It was probably provoked because Amberlynn, especially the fact that she wanted to harp on the fact that you supposedly said, "Oh, at least my family isn't druggies." But then you said, like, you have addiction in your family and they have gotten help. One of them didn't. It's actually kind of sick because I believe Amber probably knew about that, about the addiction in Beck's family too. And then Amberlynn mocks addiction. She mocked Destiny's brother, who she knew. She knew him for years and said that shit.
But I
That's
truly do not
scum.
remember saying
Amberlynn is scum.
those things to Eric or Ricky. I did complain about Amber sometimes, but I never made fun of Amber's weight or body, even after the breakup. And
Right.
why would I admit to using Amber for money
Exactly.
if that's what I was doing? It just doesn't make
Like
sense.
actively doing. If Beck was actively taking advantage of Amber, why would they say that to anybody? Especially people like Eric and Ricky who repeat everything if they think it'll get them clout.
Eric and Ricky are also notorious gossips, and they love the drama. They told me back when we were still talking that my own sister and Logan were talking crap about me behind my back, and they weren't. Number
And that's what I mean.
5. Amber claimed to have told me many times to go get a job if I was so bored, and that she supported me in working or starting my own business. She also said that I only ever Ubered twice. That was a lie. I drove for Uber when I could, off and on, even after the breakup. Buying me some art supplies doesn't equal being supportive of me working and having a job. She admits herself in this live stream that she was controlling of my time and never wanted me to leave her alone. Which is it, Amber? Was I allowed to leave to work, or did I always need to be with you? Number 6. She tells people in her live that I said we weren't friends after the breakup, and that isn't entirely true. On my channel, I've said before that we hung out after the breakup, but that after I moved out, we were only friendly. We
Yeah,
rarely
that's
saw each
the
other
twisting
unless I was
words.
dealing with my stuff at the apartment, and sometimes we were with mutuals. She continued to reach out to me every once in a while.
Like, because you're civil, because you're a civil adult, they take advantage of that. They'll take it and misrepresent it. Oh, see, they must be admitting that they did wrong. If they didn't do anything wrong, they wouldn't be so timid. That's how Amber views it because she look at how she's acting in her member stream. Look at Charlie Gold. She has some clips of it. It's very obvious that Amber is the type of person who, if she thinks that she's right, she rubs it in the person's face till the point where they just want to be like done with the situation. That's Amber.
Continued to keep the peace when I had to because I still had people and stuff connected to her. Number
Yeah,
7. She lies about giving me her
exactly.
doctor's appointment slot for our psychiatrist because she was so worried for me. I don't understand this one or even why she thought that's how doctor appointments work, but I will bring this up again when I talk about my health history later in this video.
Ooh,
Number
Beck.
8.
We need to ask Beck. Did Amberlynn actively cancel her appointments 15 minutes early and then claim that the doctor did it? Because that's a huge thing that she always does over time since like Crystal era, I think. As soon as Crystal could drive. Yeah.
Amber dances around, implying that I pressured her for sex by asking her to be in a relationship. You have no idea how nauseated I felt hearing that. I'm going to be going into more details and telling you the whole story of that night. Number 9. Claims she never saw the settlement money and that, quote, it just went into the joint account. I don't know what happened to it. Number 10. She lied and said that she took the joint debit card away from me because Jade was uncomfortable. That card was only attached to the joint account we shared that originally was my account, and by that the same bank that all of her money was going into. Number 11. Amber also lied about free bleeding, about how long I helped her wipe, how often I brushed her hair, and how often she showered. And then she also read out a chat about us both having hygiene issues. But I will once again get more into that in another section.
Good.
Next, I will address the screenshots that she did show in her live stream and the situations surrounding them from what I remember. Screenshot A. Stop Talking Crap, September 7th, 2022. Prior to this, I had made a video on my channel that briefly mentioned Amber. I watched a Karina video and talked about it. I mentioned past relationships, and when I brought up Amber, I said something like, there were good and bad times, and she made a video shortly after that, on September 6th, that talked in length about my proposal to her. In her video, she belittled me again and talked badly about me, making the whole thing sound like something she never wanted and was below her. Apparently, I sent her this text the next day. B. Last effing warning. Stop talking about me. All you do is talk about me, and I just want to forget you, and all the bullshit. I will stop being silent if you don't, and I'm not the only one who has a lot to say about you. Final effing warning. Take my name out of your mouth, and I will get the law involved. I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. It was a little over a year after the breakup, and I had just had enough. If I didn't see when she would post something about me, someone was sending it to me, and in those moments, I just wanted nothing to do with her anymore.
Right. I mean, I can totally understand that because it's being constantly inundated by the thing that you're trying to escape from and that is consuming your whole life for the past 4 to 5 years. And you just want to get out, but it keeps sucking you back in, even without your participation. Like, even without doing anything. Crazy.
I'd finally broken up with her and gotten away, and I needed time to be left alone. Screenshot B, the banking. A, how much money is in the bank account? B, sends screenshot of account that both of them had access to. She doesn't show a date for when this was, but it
Right.
seems like it is before she opened her private account with the same bank. I want to reiterate that when we got together, only I had a bank account. She asked to deposit the money she would make from YouTube into my account because
My question, what happened in between asking to transfer over to Beck's account? Was she on Destiny's? Like, or was she just letting the AdSense build up and then can you even do that? I don't know.
she did not have her own. So this is the only time that she was not able to see what was in the account or access it herself. I don't remember exactly when we went to the bank, but it was around 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. That day she opened her own private account and also officially had her name put on mine, making my
Ew.
account the joint account that we both had access to. Eventually she had
And then she kept it, which makes no sense. And literally everybody, that's the one point that everybody agrees on. We've never heard of somebody who's not actively, financially taking advantage of somebody to put themselves on their account and then kick the other person off. Like, what? In what reality is that normal?
her YouTube checks directly depositing into her private account. But when it was in the joint and when it was in hers, she had full access to both. I only had a card for the joint account that was originally mine. After quitting my job and slowly becoming her full time caretaker, I had no money of my own going into the account. But nothing was spent without her knowing about it or
I actually have an anecdote that pertains to this, and I didn't remember until Beck just said that. Again, let's listen to it again,
for the
and I'll
joint
tell you
account
what.
that was originally mine. After quitting my job and slowly becoming
Oh,
but when it was in the joint and when it was in hers, she had full access to both. I only had a card for the joint account that was originally mine.
I, back right after I graduated from college and I started my first job, I opened a savings account and I didn't think that I needed to link it to my debit card. It was unconnected and I couldn't access it. So I had to go and fix that. Like literally. So you can do it even on your own account with nobody else on it. That one account you actually have to manage traditionally. And then like that the ATM card doesn't actually give you direct access.
After quitting my job and slowly becoming her full time caretaker, I had no money of my own going into the account. But nothing was spent without her knowing about it or being the
Right, and that's what I was saying is that Amberlynn wanted to be in a shared account so she knew when Beck texted her the amount that was in the account, okay, that's my starting amount. So if it's below a certain amount, which whatever her warped view is, then oh, you must be taking my money. Oh, you must be doing something, squirreling it away. That's my money you're taking and hiding.
one to spend it herself. Screenshot B, point 2, banking. September 2nd, 2021, only a couple months after breakup, June 19th, 2021. A, you need to open your own bank account. Just open a new one. I'm going to keep this one for now. I need you to start using your own money
Insane. Insane. This is actually insane that you think that you can tell somebody that they're going to give up their bank account. Amber, who the fuck are you? Yeah, I bet if she said that in front of the banker, if the banker heard Amberlynn say that shit in front of them, all of this would be cause for concern, right? Wouldn't they alert their manager that somebody's trying to take control of somebody else's account?
for redacted and stuff. Plus, when I pay
Like
you on this
what?
22nd, I don't want you using this bank account anymore. B, then go to the effing bank with me. So I believe that this was when she was urging me to open a new account and take myself off the joint account. That again used to be my account. But I'm pretty sure
Insane.
that I needed her to go with me to the bank to make these changes to the account. And I just wanted to say also that it's weird that the way she shows these screenshots, I can't read them myself, and she reads them out loud. But in some, she doesn't read it directly. It just
Exactly.
throws doubt around. I also
She just wants everybody to think that she's giving you the true story. It's just like with those journals. Oh, I won't read these to Beck anymore. I'm sure, like I said before, that she would change certain things she's written in the moment because, oh, well, this will have a better effect. Maybe this will land better with my audience.
want to add that I think the thing that she marked out was weed, and I don't care if people know that I used to smoke. I did care once upon a time, but that's all I can think of that might be redacted in that message. And I think maybe why she said this is because she might have bought me a vape or some at some point. Screenshot C, lying to audience, April 17th, 2022. A. I am literally getting harassed because people think I lied about us still being friends. Why can't I just tell them I wasn't lying? This sucks so bad.
Yeah. Why can't I just tell them I wasn't lying? Because to her, she's not lying. The fact that Beck is civil, the fact that Beck is not actively being as much of a jerk as Amber projects that she would be in the situation, if the roles were reversed, she would do everything she could to drag Beck into the mud. And she's doing it anyways. But this is the thing, she would feel entitled to openly do it all the time if it were reversed. But that's the thing, she doesn't understand why Beck didn't do it. And the fact is, Beck has common sense, Beck has some level of decency, and Beck is an adult. That's the difference.
B. It's best they don't know, as sad as it is, that would kill my channel. I do not want them knowing. It will be an even bigger, more messy thing. I'm going to address that I saw you and gave the rings, but we don't hang out, dude. That's just how it has to be. That's what they have to know. YouTube is my only income.
And that's what Amber was trying to make it seem, that they hang out, but Beck was trying to say, "Oh, don't tell them. Don't tell them." And Beck is like, "No, we like don't hang out. The fact that we're in the same space sometimes is only happenstance because you happen to want to glom on to everybody that you ever meet. That's the difference. It's all about the language twisting." And Amberlynn, ugh, the fact that she tried to say, "Oh, Beck lied about having a job," and that makes them a liar. The fact that they didn't want to be like so vulnerable as to have everybody know what their work situation is, that might, especially for somebody who just complained in their latest vlog that, I can feel alone in a room full of people. She really said that. Amberlynn did. Because she's a fucking dummy. And she thinks that it's everybody else's fault that she feels alone. No, Amber. In this situation, it's because you distance yourself and you push people away.
And I'm only getting like $200. Amber adds that I said that I had a job even though I didn't. A. What about the backlash I'm getting for lying even though I'm not lying? B. If this comes out, it would be even less. Amber adds that this was about money. A. I'm choosing you over myself. B. You should have said nothing at all. Amber didn't say that part. B. I lost my job. Okay, this is the big one I know a lot of people wanted me to address. Amber says that I completely denied being friends after our breakup. I didn't deny being friends with her entirely in my live stream, but I didn't say we were friends because I did not see us as friends. I explained that we did see each other in passing, when I needed to go to the apartment where some of my things still were, whenever she asked me to do something for her, and while being with mutual friends. To explain the screenshot, Amber mentioned me in a different video and told the audience that we were still friends at that time. This is why I said you should have said nothing at all, which she
Right.
conveniently did not read out loud.
Because she was trying to associate Beck still with her as though they were hanging out behind the audience's back. And so it would be like all of the drama of the breakup was actually staged for YouTube, which I believe was a speculation at the time.
Except I didn't consider us to be really friends at the time,
Like
and I
it was
didn't
clear that they broke up, but it was supposedly staged that they were so obviously fighting on camera. But it was clear that Amberlynn was picking on Beck using Jade there as a physical booster to herself to make herself feel bigger than Beck, to make herself feel badder than Beck, that she could say anything. Because the Amberlynn that just came on in her latest members only live stream is the same Amber that was in those streams.
didn't want her talking about me on her channel. I was
And
scared
she
of the
knows it.
audience, the haters, and the fans of Amber. I didn't want my channel to be all about her, and I didn't want to give her or anyone else any reason to talk about me. Instead of telling her, "No, Amber, I'm not your friend," I asked her not to say that we were friends. I had forgotten that I sent a message like that. So when I denied her lying for me, I didn't remember the assistance, and forgetting that is on me. But she wants to make this out to be an example of her always lying to her audience for me and to spare me and protect me. That just isn't the case. I believe she's only bringing this up because I admitted to lying in her videos for her on different occasions. I want to apologize to my audience for not being honest with you all at that time. I'm sorry that I was still afraid of being authentic and genuine with you all. I thought that if I could just ignore Amber and Girl World, that would be the safest path. I hope I can prove to you I have learned from those experiences and changed. I also want to apologize for my memory loss. I know Amber said herself that she has bad memory, and I'm sure that it was just an additional thing to muddy the waters of what was real and what wasn't. But I do wish I had more proof for you. Obviously, there are years of videos out there, and I rely on people bringing things to my attention a lot of the time when it comes to stuff posted publicly. However, I deleted all of our messages, texts, and other things. I didn't want to look at them anymore. I didn't want to read them or see them or think about them. They're gone, unfortunately, so I can't debunk or even look at the rest of the conversation.
That's normal too. Like, why would you hold on to things that actively reminded you of your worst moments? Your worst moments, your worst feeling? Like, you don't. You delete it all. And then, if Amberlynn were not a internet pseudo celebrity in her small little bubble, she would not have influenced Beck to this degree unless it was like a context where Beck could not immediately leave, like a job, except for something like that. Amberlynn doesn't have that power. Amberlynn doesn't have influence outside of that circle. And so she tries to continually drag the argument down to that level.
Conversation for the screenshots she shows. During our relationship, I lacked a lot of independence and self agency. I did a lot for her, but I couldn't get myself to do anything for me. I was depressed, and it was only getting worse the longer our relationship went on. She was dependent on me and wanted me to be dependent on her too. Codependence is hard to break out of. I slipped into it so quickly I didn't realize I had lost all agency for myself. And then once I was in it was too difficult to stand on my own again. I've seen people compare it to boiling a lobster or crab. You put them in the water first and slowly raise the heat so they don't realize they are being cooked alive. Things Amber admitted to. Number one, she admitted to being mean and rude and talking down to me in videos and behind the camera, but she didn't admit that this was a form of public humiliation that I believe she used to control me and keep my self esteem low. Number two,
Definitely.
Amber said that she was horrible to Destiny. No shocker there, but I do wonder why she kept saying she wasn't going to talk about Destiny in this live stream.
Because Destiny already posted that she's coming back with her own videos. And so Amber's terrified about that. And she's also scared about your team up. She's absolutely terrified
I can only guess.
because you guys know the timing of your relationship overlap. You know all of the details. And Destiny might not have wanted to own up to everything, but she sees that radical truth is paying off. I don't know.
Number three, admits to buying love and attention from partners and friends, yet doesn't admit to financial abuse at all. Amber, there
Right.
is a difference between being generous and holding things over people's heads as leverage because you paid for something. Number four, Amber says that she went through my phone a lot because of trust issues, but then shows journal entries to, in her eyes, prove that I did read her journals. First, I never said that she
Right. Let's go back and look at that picture because remember what I said. She said that she would stop reading.
shows journal entries to.
I think I'm done reading this journal to Beck. Hmm. It sounds like Beck wasn't the one reading it. It sounds like you were having your little recitals, you were your little speeches, your little speakeasies. Hmm.
In her eyes, prove that I did read her journals.
Poet
First, I
Lynn
never said that
in
she
the
wouldn't let me read
house.
any of her physical journals. I said that she wouldn't let me go through her phone because she said there were private journals on it. Yet she says that I could read her journals anytime and she wouldn't have cared if I looked at her phone, but that I never really had asked her anyway.
Right.
Number
That's what I
five,
said.
she
It doesn't
admits
make sense. Like, if Beck didn't ask, then it wouldn't matter. But the fact is, you say, oh, yeah, Beck could go through it anytime, but they never asked. That doesn't make sense.
that she does not feel that I was abusive towards her. But then why do all of this, Amber? Number
Mm-hmm.
six, she admits to being manipulative toward me and others to get what she wants out of them. Number seven, And finally, she admits that she shouldn't have asked me to drive during the times that I was physically and mentally ill. More on that later. At first glance, it may sound like she admitted to quite a few things, and she
She
did,
didn't.
but she did not take real accountability
Almost
for them.
every single one had a but.
She spent the worst part of 3 hours talking about things she went through and only accepting the small things she felt weren't as bad to distract and minimize the impact of the bigger problems at hand. Admitting to vague things like being controlling and manipulative, but not acknowledging that the impact of her being controlling of my time was me not being able to look for a job, save money, or even spend time with my dying mother. Amber continuously denied or straight up ignored the bigger issues or the details that didn't support her explanation for her behaviors. Things Amber denied slash ignored. Number one, she denied still talking about me after the breakup. Number two, she denied asking me to send her the settlement inheritance money and me sending it to her for bills and other things she paid for.
Also, the fact that Beck put that money into the slush fund with all of the other money means that it was never spent. Just think about that. Amberlynn claimed that she was paying for everything. Beck just had to contribute to the household, like in some labor way. That's the problem. It means that that money was never touched because it was never explicitly stated that Beck was going to use that money. And until that day came, it never was used.
Number three, she fully denied ever being financially abusive to anyone because of her infamous kindness and generosity. Number four, denied using a timer even though I said sometimes she did and sometimes she didn't. She only said this to make it sound like I wasn't telling the truth about her tracking the time for things I did. Number five, she underestimated how much I helped her with her personal hygiene, saying that I only wiped her for 9 months and that I got her a bucket a couple times and only brushed her hair once. She also denies free bleeding, though I was under the impression she had admitted this before in her videos, but I
She
have no
did.
idea which video it could be
She literally did. I don't have the video either. It. She literally did.
if she did. Number six, denies leaving me with only a little bit of money for a U-Haul and implies that she did pay me for the live streams. Number seven, she ignores the serious allegations about her behavior towards Libby. Number eight, she ignores the chat asking her about getting physical with Jade. Number nine, she ignores everything that had to do with feederism and her irresponsible involvement with feeders and making feeder content. Number 10, the last thing I'll mention here is that she gets asked what is the worst thing she did to me, and she replies with,
The cruelest thing I ever said to Beck? God, I can't remember a
Because she doesn't pay attention to the things that she says. Because it's never actually thoughtful. It's whatever she thinks of in the moment, whether it's cruel, whether it's dismissive, whether it's humoring. She doesn't care. She does not care.
lot of what happened, obviously, but let me think of something. Mm. It's not really what I said, it's just, like, what I did, like, forcing them to, like, come home quicker and, like, being annoying about it.
No, Beck has already said that you said cruel and hurtful things to them. So the fact is that you are not acknowledging that and you are not saying, I'm sorry for the things that I've hurt you for. I don't think she's ever going to understand because she chooses not to understand. She's choosing ignorance.
You know?
if she truly believes that is the worst thing she put me through in the past 7 years, then she is more lost and twisted than I ever realized.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I talk about the screenshots, I need to discuss the journals with you. The journals confused me at first. I barely remember her writing in them the majority of our relationship. She talks about it like she was sitting there reading her journals to me or handing them over whenever she added a new entry. I don't remember ever reading her physical journals. I remember seeing her write down her weigh-ins or goals, and I remember an essay she wrote that she wanted me to read. I also remember her using her journals for stickers and scrapbooking. But beyond
Hmm.
that, I wasn't just sitting around and reading her journals for fun. I think it's odd that she's using journal entries to prove anything, and even more odd that it was to prove that she would have,
Do you know the last time I had a sticker book? I was maybe in fourth grade.
especially when she lied about having two phones and then suddenly had both phones and has kept every single text message and photo ever.
Don't you just love that? She can practically make it up.
It is interesting that she brought the journals up because it reminded me that she had this online secret private journal on her phone and laptop that she says she had for years, probably back when she knew Casey and Crystal. And that was the journal she really never wanted me to see. But
Hmm.
obviously, I wasn't looking to read her journal. I'd only asked to go through her phone because of how often she went through mine. I was like, why can't I go through your messages? Who are you talking to? And she would make excuses for why I couldn't look and just needed to trust her. Eventually, I just didn't care anymore. Next, let's talk about the mattress and bed bug situation. I brought this up in my last live stream as something I was going to say to talk about later in the video. So, of course, she had to get ahead of the narrative, and that's fine. It wasn't important who said it first. Though I do want to point out this was a first-hand experience from my live stream of my memory being a little wonky. I know it can kind of make some people question my credibility, but I swear I'm not entirely jelly-brained. I may mess some things up, but I remember the big picture. Ming, what happened to the bed frame? What do you mean, like the bed frame? Like
To be fair, trauma and incorrect medication can totally fuck up your memory. And even outside of just like what you think you already knew, it can really mess with your mental processes.
That's what you brought up.
wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, you mentioned it. You said you wanted to hold on to that. They're talking about like what you were talking about just a minute ago, where you were like, they...
I'm having a giant brain fart.
And actually, Beck should look into maybe doing some like brain training in terms of just like strengthening cognition, because it'll help maybe not to remember some of the stuff, but to think clearly about the things that they do remember.
Hey, wait, is it the one that we had bought together for
Oh
her
no,
room?
you mentioned it. you...
Oh, the bed frame. Oh, in her first apartment when we first met.
Yeah.
And she was moving out. Oh, I really want to tell you guys, but I've got some stuff that I'm holding on to just in case. So yes, it was about the bed bugs. While Amber was living in the townhouse, she had gotten bed bugs. This was after Destiny and her broke up, and we were seeing each other. The bed bugs could have come from the neighbors. They were horrible at the time, but it was impossible to know. However, Amber let it get bad and pretended not to notice. I had bites all over me. I think she probably did too, but maybe didn't want to admit it. I helped her get rid of them, quarantining her clothes and the mattress, and when she eventually moved in with Eric, Ricky, and I, she asked me to lie to them for her. At the time, I felt like I didn't have a choice because I didn't want her to be homeless, and she begged me not to tell them. I cared about her, and I knew that if I said anything, they wouldn't have let her move in. Eventually, I did tell them the truth, though, and Ricky...
I wonder if that's how all those fleas and bed bugs got spread in Florida at Destiny's dad's house. And I wonder if she brought any pests into Casey's apartment or into Crystal's house.
He and Amber had a big fight about it. I should have never lied to them for Amber at the time. Now I want to talk about something really serious with you guys. Talking about DV and SA is an incredibly sensitive topic to handle. While I am a victim of Amber's abuse, I am not a victim of either DV or SA by her hands. In this live stream, Amber makes outrageous claims against the people she's wronged and ignores others. She doubles down on her accusations against Casey with no hesitation because Casey...
And now she made an accusation against Mr. Snowflake in her latest live stream, in her members' live stream.
...dared to stand up against her. She ignores the allegations of hitting Jade and ignores being inappropriate with Libby. She tries to insinuate that I pressured her into a relationship for sex because I claimed before that she pressured me into a relationship when I wanted to take it slow. She's always turning accusations around and making them her own to point back at people. On the day that I asked Amber to be my girlfriend, we were having a Netflix and chill type of date. I was really into the movie and Amber wanted to make out and cuddle. I told her I didn't want to in that moment because I was into the movie and this started a fight between us. This was the fight that she essentially told me she had many people lined up who wanted to date her, and if I didn't hurry up, she would find somebody else. I did like her at the time, and I didn't want to lose her yet, so then I asked her to be my girlfriend. Looking back on it, it's obvious she just wanted me to make it official as quickly as possible.
Pure manipulation.
After we started dating, the financial and economical abuse wasn't far behind. Economic abuse is a form of abuse when one person has control over the victim's access to economic resources, which diminishes the victim's capacity to support themselves and forces them to depend on the perpetrator financially. Amber didn't have her own bank account, and I allowed her to use mine and eventually join it officially. Amber had control of the joint account. Amber had control over her own private account. It was all Amber's money. She used paying for bills and buying food and gifts as leverage to get away with anything. This was enough in her mind to justify all the things I did for her and owe her more. I took care of her because I cared about her and knew she couldn't do a lot of things herself. I cleaned up after her and the pets. I ran errands for her. I took her to appointments and restaurants and anywhere she wanted to go. I made her a huge part of my life and inner circle. I tried my best and did anything she wanted me to do.
All stuff that's documented on Amber's channel, which means that she made money off of it. All stuff that Beck did. We
relationship
have the evidence.
as her being taken advantage of because she paid for things, like paying the down payment on the car that I drove her around in. She bought food because she wanted it, and she paid the bills because she also lived there. If I
Exactly.
had a job, I would have been contributing. But she used the fact that she could afford it and she needed me as reasoning for me to not get a job. And Amber used her paying for things that I needed to manipulate me into handing over the money for my mom's
She did that with Destiny and Dana.
settlement. She says otherwise, but it was not left in the joint account. All of this to me shows a clear power imbalance in our relationship that just kept growing and growing. On top of being financially controlled, I mentally wasn't in a healthy state of mind for most of our relationship. I was struggling with years of depression, and then when I finally tried to get help, the psychiatrist I was seeing misdiagnosed me and overmedicated me. I was on multiple medications, maybe 4 to 6 at one time. Mood stabilizers, anxiety meds, the combination and switching of medications had me completely out of it. I was bad before, but this was different. I was experiencing a lot of negative side effects, and Amber tried to minimize this by saying it was only 3 months. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly when I
Yeah, like their entire body was probably suffering because their kidneys were shutting down.
started taking the medicine, but it was the longer part of 2019, I believe. She also tries to
My
minimize the
God.
effects of my kidneys shutting down.
The renal failure was very, very thankfully short-lived. So it was very quick, thankfully, because that was also very, very worrisome.
These two things overlapped, but both had long lasting effects. The doctors eventually wanted to do blood work because they were considering putting me on lithium, and that's when they found out that I was going into kidney failure. After more testing, they found it was the metformin causing it, and I was able to recover, but it wasn't quickly. After Amber's cancer scare and hysterectomy, I was the one who took care of her while she was healing. And yes, I was the one who wiped her. But I wiped her plenty before that. I believe from sometime in 2019 to June 2021 when we broke up. Before I started wiping her, she would use washcloths to wipe. She would set them on the corner of the sink, and then she would turn herself
No, we're gonna go back and listen to this in slow-mo. Not that.
sometime in 2019 to June 2021 when we broke up. Before I started wiping her, she would use washcloths to wipe. She would set them on the corner of the sink, and then she would turn herself around to wipe herself on it. And then
Not like a bear rubbing up against a tree to scratch its back.
she would throw them away. Our roommates started to notice that their late mother's washcloths were
Heirlooms.
disappearing. And they confronted her about it, and she wanted me to lie to them for her, but I didn't. She ended up buying more washcloths for herself, and instead of throwing them away, she had me wash them in the sink and then put them in the washer.
Yep, that's about right. That's about right. It's her money. She's not gonna waste it. That person's heirlooms? Fuck that.
Wiping ended up being the lesser of two evils at the time. Amber also said that I only brought her a bucket a couple of times, and that is true, it only happened a couple of times, but I did help her get spots she couldn't reach, and in between the bucket baths, she just didn't shower. I also
Ew.
didn't only brush her hair once either. It needed to be brushed every few months. I'm only saying all of this now because she does not live in the same reality.
Few months. Like, it would be fine if she didn't brush her hair every few months, but she was bathing, shampooing and conditioning and stuff so that her hair didn't get all tangled and shit. But jeez.
I'm
Jeez.
hoping maybe this will be enough to finally reach her. She and some others don't realize that you don't wipe someone and groom someone that you don't care for. I didn't do those things for money. I did them to help her be more comfortable, to protect her dignity as much as I could. I lied for her and defended her and kept her alive. Now she shows her respect and gratitude for me by talking badly about me repeatedly. Even in the chaos of everything she said, she still had time to read chats saying we both had hygiene issues and saying that she did gross things for me too. Me not showering for a couple extra days because I was depressed and you popping my pimples are not the same as me wiping you and cleaning your ankles. Amber doesn't want to say that she is an abuser. I am saying that. She wants to claim this diagnosis and that diagnosis, but the diagnosis doesn't matter. Her self-awareness is non-existent. Everyone
Exactly.
has noticed that she takes zero accountability or responsibility when in private.
I'm sorry, but you made me do it. I'm sorry, but when you said ... it just triggered me. I'm sorry, but my BPD is just really out of control back then.
She will beg and barter and manipulate until everyone sees it the way that she sees it. She can't do all of that publicly, and no abuser wants their abuse to be aired out. Amber, I just wanted you to finally take
Exactly.
some accountability for the shit you've done. If I really wanted to humiliate and embarrass you, I would have just done this years ago. The only way to hold you accountable is publicly, bringing awareness to the abuse and having your audience see between the cracks. Your public live stream wasn't about an apology or healing. It wasn't about breaking your silence. It was about silencing others, especially me. You did not take this seriously. It is inappropriate to laugh when you are talking about other people's trauma, especially when you're the one who caused it. I
100%. 100,000
can
percent.
laugh about my trauma with friends, but making fun of what your victims have experienced is insensitive and weird. You are trying to convince everyone that I did just as much to you as you've done to me. And since you don't feel abused by me, then I should not feel abused by you. But the difference
Right?
is, I do feel abused by you, Amber, because you
Right?
abused me, and you've abused other girlfriends in the past too. Name the worst thing I did to you. Tell me what it is so I can take accountability for it if it was
Mm-hmm.
so bad. Because all you
But she can't pinpoint anything because it isn't anything. Because there's literally nothing. She would say, "Oh, I have a text of dot dot dot," but then never produce it. Messages that she did provide didn't prove anything. It only proved that Amberlynn is kind of bossy on a day-to-day basis.
you've said about me is that I'm a liar and use you for money. Just because you
Like
feel
that's
attacked by my
all.
perspective doesn't make it a
It didn't
lie.
do any
And I
favors
wouldn't
for
have dealt
her.
with so much if I was only with you for the money. And still to this day, you have the audacity to say that the worst thing you put me through was forcing me to spend time with you? It is laughable if it wasn't so sad. The funny part is, you are kind of right. Forcing me to spend all my time with you kept me from my mom while she was dying. These were the darkest moments of my life. I look back on them now and wish I could slap myself awake from a nightmare. I don't know why I let her control me so much. I wish I would have just run away and told her no. I have so many regrets from that time, but she knew what she was doing. She knew she was manipulating me into isolating myself
Jeez. All these messages for
from that time,
Amberlynn
but
is the
she knew
one
what she was doing.
driving a wedge. Just like how I said she did with Libby. Remember I said that? Remember I said she took advantage of any little cracks in the relationship and then kept pushing, pushing to the point where Libby was talking shit?
She knew she was manipulating me into isolating myself from my own
Mm-hmm.
family, begging me to spend time with her instead of my mom, causing
Yeah. Totally different persona. But we are getting along. Beck trying to just make it
rifts between
easy
us in the very little time
so
I had
that
left
there's
with her.
no,
I hate
like,
that because of Amber and her hold
or
on me.
so
I
there's,
wasn't
well, I don't know what to do. Amberlynn has been good to me recently and she's changed in front of me. That's what I'm trying to tell everyone. Yeah, it's so manipulative.
there for my mom the way I wanted to be. I hate that I don't remember our last Christmas together. I hate that she
Mm-hmm.
cried for me when she was losing so much. Abuse changes people. It can turn you into someone completely unrecognizable. It could take years for you to find yourself again.
Beck looks good. Look at Beck. Beck looks good.
And to make sense of what was even
Healthy.
happening. To those of you who haven't experienced something like this before, I hope that you can see this as a tale of caution. And if you have experienced something like this similarly, then I hope this helps you feel less alone. I hope that my mom is out there watching and seeing the changes I've made and is feeling peace knowing that I am safe, happy, and loved. I hope that she is proud of me for sticking up for myself and for speaking out against Amber. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you when I see you.
That was freaking amazing. Beck is literally a pro YouTuber. I think, I think the years of being with Amberlynn actually prepared Beck to be a good YouTuber. I don't think it's because of Amber. I think it's seeing what YouTubers are expected to do that Amberlynn never did. Beck knows what to do and actually is executing at it. So I love that. I love to see them really succeeding and being loved by the community for taking accountability, real accountability, even apologizing within this village, even apologizing within this video to us, the people watching, with specific things that they were sorry for. Really, just so lovely to see. If you like this reaction, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a star, because Beck is truly the star of Coral World now. And in not a lol cow sense, in not a negative sense. So, bye.